In this corner, the classic 1984 Superpowers Batmobile by Kenner, and in this corner, the new Superpowers Batmobile by McFarlane Toys. Can the new kid on the block win the nostalgia street race? Place your bets and stick around for an all-new vehicular versus. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Starting off with the packaging, and I know I have to back out a frame just to show you, but the dimensions on these two boxes are the exact same. Height, weight, depth, the whole shebang. Now you might be thinking, wow, I can't believe he has the original Kenner box. I don't. This is actually a very clever recreation by eBay user Batcave Toys. It's a fantastic reproduction, though admittedly if you zoom on in, it doesn't exactly bear close scrutiny. One of the biggest differences, of course, is that the original was called the Superpowers Collection, whereas the new series is just called Superpowers. It's also worth noting that the original Batmobile was called the Cape Crusaders action vehicle, whereas the new one just says Batman's action vehicle. But hey, Batman's the more recognizable brand name. The original box is more of an action shot. Batman and Robin are in their seats with their capes flapping in the breeze, with Joker having his bottom battering rammed. The new box has a very similar aesthetic, but just has artwork of the car itself. The original has the Kenner logo in the corner. The new one has the McFarlane Toys logo, but it's actually the classic 90s one. Again, Batman and Robin are included on the side of the original, though this one does have Batman behind the wheel. The original has a showcase of all its action features, and the new one emulates that, right down to the caption boxes and red background. McFarlane's done a phenomenal job of recreating the look of the original series, and while this does a great job of showing you what you're getting, it is a little bit boring, especially compared to the excitement of this one. It is an action vehicle, right? For packaging, this round goes to Kenner. Moving on to presentation, and although the new one is a little bit higher, both of them have very similar dimensions. Stem to stern, the original is 13.5 inches long, 6 inches wide, and 3¼ inches tall. Thanks to the longer fins, the new model is 14.5 inches long, 6¼ inches wide, and 4 inches tall. Despite the dimensional differences, there are a lot of stylistic similarities. The body of the original is royal blue, the body of the new one is royal blue, albeit slightly darker. The original has orange windshields, the new one has one big orange windshield. The original has a bat face on the hood and a battering ram. The new one has a bat face and a battering ram. The original has these really sweet silver Batman hubcaps, and while the new ones are bigger and not quite as reflective, they have very similar hubcaps. The original has the bat symbol painted on the side, and the new one has a bat symbol painted on the side. Peering into the cockpit, the original has some really cool stickers painted for the consoles. It also has a sweet bat symbol shaped steering wheel. That includes the center console, and while the new one has a black interior, they did include console stickers. They're a little different, but just as cool. In fact, in addition to a center console, they also added stickers for the sides. And once again, Batman has his bat-shaped steering wheel. The original had stickers for glowing taillights. The new one recreates those taillights, but actually painted in the details. They also added a couple of other lights, and this really cool bat. Despite all these similarities, there are several stylistic differences. Backing out of frame again, the basic shapes of the bodies are different, and while the battering ram is integrated into the body of the original, the new one is more clearly defined. The fins on the new one feel more like something we'd see out of the Michael Keaton Batmobile, whereas the original is a lot more subdued. The back of this one's designed to look like Batman's cape. There's also a secret bat symbol there. The back of the new one's a bit more intricate. It still has these half-moon sections. In that regard, it serves the same function as the rear windshields of the original, but this one's a separate piece in service to an action feature we'll be looking at a bit later. The original Superpowers Batmobile clearly took its design cues from the Adam West version. The new McFarlane version, however, feels like a combination of Superpowers, Michael Keaton, and a little bit of Legends of the Dark Knight, particularly the shape and oversized wheels. I think this one boils down to personal preference, and while it would have been great if they just recreated the original, removed from nostalgia, I do think the new one does look cooler. Even so, this is just an imitation, whereas this is the real deal. For presentation, this round goes to Kenner. Moving on to posability, and yeah, they both got spinning wheels, a turning steering wheel, and that's about it. Kind of. Technically, there are a couple of extra hinges back here, but those those are in service to an action feature and not articulation, so I'm not going to count them. So for posability, this round is a draw. Moving on to playability, and that's where this battle really heats up. As previously stated, both vehicles have battering rams. On the Kenner version, it's activated by pulling back on this switch in the center console. And to see it in action though, and here we have the Joker, and kaboom! To activate the McFarlane battering ram, you need only tap on this Batman head. McFarlane has yet to make a Joker for his superpowers line, which shows an astonishing level of restraint I frankly didn't think he was capable of. But before I go throwing him a parade, he has made the Batman who laughs. And zowie! In terms of play features, that's where the similarities between these two ends. As I've previously alluded to, the McFarlane one does have one more play feature hidden back here. Flip this back flap up and bam! Our rocket booster pops out. I like how the rocket booster has little bat ears. I'm less crazy about just how loose this is. Based on these little tabs, I get the impression it's supposed to click into place. It just, doesn't. Going back to the original, and you no doubt noticed this yellow tab in the center console. Push on that, the headlights open. If that wasn't enough, there's also a switch back here. That releases a capture claw. Because mine is older and used, the springs don't exactly pop anymore, but here's what it looks like. But if all that wasn't enough, the original has one more secret feature that the new one doesn't. A feature guaranteed to drive 1984 parents insane. Wheeling it along, it actually makes engine sounds. This is achieved mechanically using a tiny flap hitting against detents in the wheel. But playability is more than just battering rams and grapple hooks, it's also about how many Batman figures can fit behind the wheel. Of course, we've got to start with the original Superpowers Batman. Naturally, he can fit in the Kenner, and not surprisingly, he can fit in the McFarlane. The Dark Knight Collection Batman is basically the same, so it should fit in both as well. Check and check. The new McFarlane Superpowers Batman is basically a reproduction, so I'm sure it's going to fit in both. Naturally, he looks great behind the wheel of Kenner, but he was made for McFarlane. That said, McFarlane's first pass at a Superpowers Batman was a bit bigger and bulkier, so how does he do? He can fit in Kenner, but I do feel the floorboards pushing against him. No such trouble with the McFarlane. Moving our way up in scale, how about Batman the Animated Series? Again, I feel those floorboards, but he can sit fully in the seat, and no legroom problems at all with McFarlane. For another classic blue and gray, I'm very curious about this bulky Batman, the Brave and the Bold. Cannot sit all the way down in Kenner, but McFarlane is just fine. Next up is Toy Biz's attempt at Keaton. A little snug for Kenner, but it can be done. And once again, plenty of room in the McFarlane. On the subject of movie Batman, how about Christian Bale as the Dark Knight? Alas, he cannot sit down fully in Kenner, but even though it takes some finagling because of his width, he can fit in McFarlane. I have a feeling that Kenner is down for the count at this point, but let's check with the Batman. And yeah, I think Kenner's pretty much done. But as predicted, no problemo here. Focusing only on McFarlane from here on out, and here's a 2017 basic figure by Mattel. In spite of his size, he fits in just fine. But how about this Adam West by McFarlane? Turbines to speed. I have a feeling the Batman Unlimited with his oversized feet might be a bridge too far. But no, once again, I'm very pleasantly surprised. We might be pressing our luck with this 6-inch 2003 Batman, and yeah, this one's not happening. It goes without saying that the plastic cape on this DC Icons Batman isn't going to fit, but what if we took the cape off? Well, the good news is you can technically make it work. The problem is you gotta pop his legs off to do it. Also, it looks like he's about to offer a clone army to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Alas, any Batman larger than that's not gonna fit at all. Stealth Iron Man, on the other hand, is a completely different matter. I was surprised and impressed by how many more figures could fit in the McFarlane version, but with double the play features, the original just has way more to offer. For playability, this round goes to Kenner. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I was lucky enough to find this one on eBay for only $55, but that did mean being okay with some scuffs and scratches. Depending on what condition it is, it can go anywhere from $80 loose to hundreds of dollars in box. The new one might not have as many features, but it is only $30 and widely available through online retailers like Amazon and Big Bad Toy Store. Obviously, if Kenner's the one you want and no other version will do, you'll have to shop around, but if all you want's a cool, serviceable Batmobile for your toys, then the new one will work just fine. For price, this round goes to McFarlane, but the battle goes to Kenner, 4-2. Now some of you might be saying, Jason, when you tease this versus, you also mentioned the new Spin Master Batmobile. But wouldn't you know it that another new Spin Master Batmobile has come out since then, so I think these two deserve a vehicular versus of their very own. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.